Beginning. The guard and the prisoner. I wasn't supposed to even see her eyes. On every military database, every briefing file, every whispered warning among the junior officers, Commander Valeera of the Drakken Vanguard was described the same way. Unbreakable, unshakable, untouchable. A genetically engineered warrior bred for perfect obedience. And she was assigned to guard me, a human scientist who somehow ended up accused of sabotaging a Drakken supercarrier. Which I didn't do. The cell was cold, metallic, and barely larger than a storage closet, with only a narrow bench and a light that flickered whenever the ship made a jump. The air smelled faintly of ionized metal and disinfectant. But Valeera stood there like a statue of living obsidian, 7 feet tall, armor-plated skin shimmering in deep shades of violet and blue, her long predatory tail slowly swaying behind her. Her glowing amber eyes watched my every move.
She didn't blink.
She barely breathed. She seemed carved from a single piece of living armor. No emotion, no expression, just silence. And me? I was terrified. Human, she said finally, her voice deep, smooth, and cold enough to freeze oxygen. Sit. Do not attempt to escape. Do not attempt to speak unless questioned. I sat. I definitely didn't attempt to speak. But inside my chest, panic clawed like a trapped animal. I'd been abducted from a shuttle transfer station, accused of treason, and told nothing except that I would be interrogated after arrival at Drakken High Command. Translation: I probably wasn't surviving this trip. Valeera stood inches from the force field of my cell, unmoving, like a monument guarding a tomb. Hours passed. Then, unexpectedly, she spoke again. Your heart rate is irregular. I lifted my head. Kind of hard to stay relaxed when someone who could snap me in half is watching me breathe. A faint twitch crossed the corner of her jaw, not quite a smile, not quite a snarl. Humans speak too much, and Drakken speak too little. Her eyes narrowed. For a long moment, I truly believed she might vaporize me with a single strike. Then she turned away, tail swaying once in what might have been irritation. I didn't know it then, but that was the moment everything changed. Middle, the truth she shouldn't have learned. The next morning, or whatever the ship considered morning, alarms erupted across the entire vessel. Red emergency lights flashed. The floor vibrated sharply. Valeera's posture changed instantly. She wasn't a statue anymore. She was a weapon drawn and ready. She slammed her palm on the control panel, dropping the force field around my cell. Move. Now. I stared at her. Are you letting me out? Invaders boarded the ship. Your captors will kill you to avoid leaving evidence. I require you alive. That's comforting, I muttered, stepping out quickly. She grabbed my wrist with a grip like steel. Stay behind me at all times, human. The corridor exploded into chaos. Sparks, smoke, Drakken soldiers shouting tactical codes. Valeera dragged me through the maze of hallways with terrifying speed, tail whipping behind her like a balancing blade. A squad of armored mercenaries rounded the corner. Definitely not Drakken. They opened fire. Valeera moved so fast, I barely saw her. A shield burst open around her forearm, absorbing the shots. She charged, claws glowing with plasma heat. She cut through the mercenaries with brutal precision, disabling, disarming, never missing a strike. Then one mercenary, desperate, wounded, grabbed a fallen blaster and aimed directly at me. Valeera saw it before I did. She jumped. For me. The shot hit her armor, ricocheted, and scorched the wall behind us. But the impact knocked her to her knees. Valeera, I shouted, running to her side. She pushed herself up slowly, eyes blazing with fury, but also confusion. You called my name. Yeah, I said breathlessly. You saved me. Her breath hitched, almost as if she didn't understand why she had done it, because she wasn't supposed to care. We continued through the ship. Eventually, she forced open a sealed door and dragged me inside what looked like a semi-private officer's chamber. Then she turned on me, and for the first time, her mask cracked. Her voice lowered, not cold, but conflicted. Human, I must ask you something forbidden. I swallowed. Okay, ask. She stepped closer. Too close. Her golden eyes burned into mine. When you spoke my name, why did my heart respond? I am engineered to feel nothing for prisoners. I blinked. Maybe because I'm the only one here who doesn't treat you like a tool? She froze, as if that idea had never, ever occurred to her. You speak to me. Not my rank. Not my armor. Not my function.
Yeah.
I talk to people. You're a person. Her breath trembled. A Drakken Vanguard commander, one of the most feared species in the galaxy, trembling because one human didn't treat her like a weapon. She backed away quickly, clearly shaken. Then the wall console lit up with intercepted communication. It wasn't mercenaries. It wasn't pirates. It was a kill order. For me. From Drakken High Command. Valeera listened in utter silence, her fists tightening, her tail dropping low in fury. They intend to frame you, she said finally. The sabotage was committed by their own war minister. You are a scapegoat. And you're supposed to deliver me to them, I said. She turned to me, slowly, deliberately. I were. Her armor vibrated slightly, a sign of internal stress in Drakken physiology. Human, I cannot fulfill that order. I exhaled in relief, but she wasn't done. She lowered herself to one knee. In front of me, this 6.5-foot armored warrior kneeling, head bowed, tail curled respectfully around one side. She placed her fist to her chest, the Drakken oath stance. By sacred code, I renounce the kill order. I will protect you with my life. I stared, stunned. Why would you do that? She looked up, her expression soft, vulnerable, and burning with something terrifyingly earnest. Because the universe chose you to show me what my people stripped from me.
Choice.
Emotion. Self. You treat me as more than a weapon. She knelt lower. And for that, I kneel for you. My breath caught in my throat. No one would believe this. Not in 1,000 years. The escape and the betrayal we ran. Or rather, Valeera cleared a path through the ship like a living battering ram, and I followed closely, praying we wouldn't die between decks. She led us toward the escape hangar, where a few scout vessels were docked. But the war minister himself appeared on the upper catwalks, flanked by elite soldiers. He looked like a Drakken sculpted for intimidation, tall, heavily armored, with ceremonial spikes and a cruel half-smile. Well, he said, voice echoing. Commander Valeera, the weapon misfires. Valeera stepped in front of me. He is innocent. You know this. The minister laughed. And what? You now protect your pet human. Valeera's tail lashed the ground. He is under my oath. The minister scoffed. Vanguard do not swear oaths. Vanguard follow orders. Valeera didn't move. I choose my own path. You
do not
choose. The minister raised his weapon. You were designed to obey. Valeera spoke softly, almost sadly. Then your design is flawed. And she attacked. It was like watching a thunderstorm break loose inside a metal cage. Valeera leapt onto the upper platform, claws blazing as she clashed with elite guards. The minister joined the fight, striking with terrifying precision. I knew she couldn't win. Not alone. And then something strange happened. One of the control panels beside me sparked, a weapon locker sliding open. Inside was a handheld EMP disruptor. I grabbed it. I climbed the stairs. Both Valeera and the minister were locked in brutal combat, claws against ceremonial blades, plasma crackling in the air. "Hey!" I shouted. The minister looked at me with amusement. "You? The fragile species." "Fragile," I admitted, "but stubborn." I fired the EMP. It struck the minister square in the chest. His armor shorted, sparks flying as his power systems fried. He roared, collapsing to one knee. Valeera didn't hesitate. She struck him with the side of her arm, a disabling blow, then kicked him off the platform, sending him crashing to the level below. The alarm screamed. The ship was destabilizing. Valeera grabbed my wrist again.
"Come."
"We must flee." We sprinted to the escape pods. The doors sealed behind us. Valeera launched the craft with practiced efficiency. For the first time since meeting her, she let out a long, shaking breath. You don't realize how quiet someone is until you hear them breathe like they're finally alive. "You saved my life, human," she said softly. "You saved mine first." Her eyes lowered.
"No."
"I chose you, before I even understood why." Ending. The Vanguard who walked away, the escape pod floated into the dark void, autopilot engaging toward a neutral station. Valeera sat across from me, no longer a statue, no longer a weapon, but a person rediscovering her own soul. "Now what?" I asked quietly. She looked down at her armored hands. "I cannot return to my people. I have broken their code." "And me?" I asked. She met my eyes. Her voice was low, steady, and fiercely sincere. "You are free. I will leave at the station. I will not bind you to a fugitive." Her words should have made me relieved. But instead, something twisted in my chest. "Valeera, if you leave, the Drakken will hunt you." She nodded. "I know. You'll be alone." I was always alone. "No," I said firmly. "You're not. Not anymore." She froze. A long silence passed. Then, unexpectedly, she sank to one knee again. Not as a guard. Not as a soldier. Not as a weapon. But as someone choosing her own fate. She placed her hand over mine. "You speak as though you wish me to stay." "I do," I said. "If you want to." Her amber eyes softened in a way I never imagined possible. "I have guarded many," she whispered, "but I have never been chosen." She lifted my hand gently, holding it with surprising care for someone so powerful. "I will walk whatever path you choose," she said. "Not as your guard, as your equal." I smiled faintly.
"Then stay.
"We'll figure it out together." Her breath trembled, but she nodded. And for the first time, she smiled. A real, fragile, hopeful smile. Outside the viewport, the stars stretched into a new horizon. Behind us was a life she had been forced to live. Ahead was a life she chose. With me, the warrior who once knelt only to her commanders, now walked beside a human she was supposed to guard, but instead, she protected, fought for, and ultimately chose. And together, we disappeared into the galaxy as the first Drakken warrior to ever break her chains, and the human she had knelt before.